Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Pete, welcome back. Films and Stuff podcast. It's Saturday. We've got our special double episode, House of the Dragon.
That's right.
And Rings of Power.
Oh, yeah.
I previously said Rings of Fire, which is Johnny Cash's song. It's Rings of Power. So I've been really just like bouncing in my chair for the last few days because I've been dying to talk about House of the Dragon with you. I thought this episode was exceptional, and I've just got 3 questions just burning a hole in my mind that I've got to get out there and ask you, okay?
All right, let's do it. Let's knock it out.
Number 1, is King Viserys the problem here?
My response, 100%.
Yeah.
The old adage, I can't remember the idiom in English, and I can't even give you a good translation, but the effective translation would be something like, the leaves of the tree fall when there's a corruption of the roots.
Okay, I got it.
In the sense that had Viserys been, or were he a more competent leader and or father, I don't think Westeros would have the issues that it's currently having, more specifically the House of Targaryen.
Yeah. The thing that struck me about it, that really got, prior to this, I thought Viserys was an okay guy. That he was obviously battling some health issues. He obviously had, a lot of other, just like everyone, he had some complications in life that he was trying to manage. But I thought at least he's a good, decent guy. What flipped it for me this episode was when he was complaining, like, oh, I've had everything so easy. I really wish I was challenged a little bit more. I'm just going to go down in history as like, never had like any like tough decisions to make. And that's when it flipped on me that exactly like you said, he's missing that the hard decisions that he needs to make, he's not making. And when he is making a decision, he's making the wrong decision. And he's causing, maybe more than anyone in the Targaryen dynasty, the problems himself.
Yeah, and even if you are making the wrong decisions, as king, you would then have to follow through so decisively that it doesn't matter if the decision is wrong or not.
Yeah.
He should have, from the outset, let's start from the very beginning, okay? From the outset, the moment Daemon started stepping out of line, yes, he's your brother, but you should have laid down the iron glove on him.
You should have killed him.
1. It sounds heartless to say, but in this fantasy kind of world, that is 150% the right thing to do. Daemon should have been eliminated at the end of the first episode.
Yep. Just like
he should have been. Yeah. Even if you don't kill him,
put him in prison.
There could
Man in the iron mask.
Solution. Yeah. Yes, some solution that effectively would have taken him off the chessboard.
Yep.
He didn't do that. Okay.
He's
2.
And can I just go on 1? Not only did he not take him off the chessboard at the end of episode 1, he continues to have this wishy-washy attitude towards him.
Yeah.
He was going to get destroyed by the crab feeder in season 2. He bails him out. Episode 4, he exiles him. Now this episode, he comes to the wedding. He should have arrested him. He keeps having this wishy-washy attitude, and Daemon keeps pushing the boundaries because he knows if Viserys isn't going to do anything.
2. His kid dies. His first male heir dies.
Yep.
He loses his wife in childbirth.
Yeah.
It's expected that he has to get remarried.
Yep.
He, in the meantime, to shore up his position and his heir, nominates publicly, very publicly, Rhaenyra is my heir.
Yep.
And then privately goes so far as to say, don't worry, even if I have a son with Alicent, you will be my heir. You have to shore it up. Fine. On paper, he's saying all the right things, but in terms of actions, nothing.
Yeah.
Quell the rebellion. Quell the public thing. Elevate her to the council. Elevate her to such a position where she is now the regent, where she's making decisions. Do something which A, gives her the opportunity to kind of win over the people, and B, if the people won't be won over, squash them.
Yeah.
And make it no question that she is going to be the leader. She should never have been put into a position where Daemon can sneak her off into the city for her to see a play where they're openly mocking her.
You're right. Do you think, going back to the beginning of that statement, again, there's no morality on this show. It's just business. Was Viserys right when his wife is in childbirth? Was he right to sacrifice his wife for the potential son?
It falls into line with what you would expect.
Yeah.
Right? Especially because it was the son, because he knew it was his son. Had the doctor at that time or the midwife said, it looks like you're going to have a second daughter, I have no doubt in my mind he would have said, kill the baby, save my wife.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I kind of put the, if you're just looking at it from a non-humanitarian perspective, it was save the son, or the son will definitely die, the wife will probably die. And he was kind of, as a handicapping the odds, he was probably like, yeah, if I can save one and I have 100% certainty, that's better than the likelihood that I probably lose both. That seemed to be his only good decision. And I think because that decision went badly, that he started to kind of get cold feet on everything else that he does. And
then the third major slip up he does is he doesn't marry Laenor? No, not Laenor. The sister. I mean, his Laenor's sister. The names are so obscure, and it's just the 4th or 5th episode. His niece.
Yeah.
He should have just bit the bullet. Yes, she's 13. But if you're ready to marry a 15-year-old instead of a 13-year-old, at what point, where are you drawing the line?
I mean, that's a tough one. I guess I'm strategically, that's absolutely what he should have done.
Yeah.
And that's what, and her name is Laena Valerian, right?
Laena, there you go. Okay.
Her brother is Laenor. I have to say, that's why I got maybe that's why I gave him like a little bit of slack. Because I can see his point, which is, my God, not just is she like too young. He's like, I'm 60. She's 13. Like, I'm basically never going to be able to have even like a friendship with this person. Now I've got someone that I actually like, who's good for me. She's the right age. I can have a kid with her. It'll be fine.
Yeah, but it's not like they have a friendship now.
Yeah. Now
you saw in the last episode. Forget about this episode, but even in the last episode, you saw she's basically been reduced to being a baby-making machine for him. She's not a companion in any way, shape, or form.
No.
She's not giving him advice that he's taking to heart.
Yeah.
None of that.
Yeah. Okay.
So those are the 3 big slip-ups that you see from Viserys over the course of the first 3 or 4 episodes, where you're just like...
Can I add a 4th?
What's that?
The 4th is that I think he made a mistake trying to put Rhaenyra with Laenor. And the reason I say that is that, again, the issues that we saw 2 main issues. One, you've got a very, very powerful house in Valerian who's now saying, hey, if they've got a kid, the kid should be named Valerian, not Targaryen. Mm-hmm. Right? So he's losing the Targaryen name. 2, not that there's anything wrong with that, as Seinfeld would say, Laenor is homosexual.
And not just in secret.
Yes.
A well-known
by Rhaenyra, by his parents,
father, his mother, everyone who...
Yeah. So either Viserys doesn't know, in which case he's very weak, that he's got the wrong hand, he's not getting any due diligence, or he knows and he's making a even worse decision. Because based on this, are they ever going to be able to have, honestly, a kid? Maybe
so
not.
I think, so my feeling is this is actually the first time we see him put his foot down and do the politically correct thing to do. And again, our films and stuff caveat is we're applying this to the world of Game of Thrones and Westeros, not to the real world.
This is not the real world.
This is not our real world, right? So, but strategically, this is 100% the correct thing to do. She messed up. She now has a reputation, potentially, of being someone who's sleeping with her own uncle.
Yeah.
And more importantly, or at least I got what my feeling was more importantly, as someone who has lost her innocence or virginity in this case.
Yep.
And the best way to counter that is to say, okay, well, let me shore up the political ramifications of her mess up by marrying her in. It should have been him who married him into that family, but he said, okay, if I'm not marrying into that family, I'm going to make sure my daughter does, and that's going to shore up our alliance, and that's going to make us the most powerful family in these lands. So strategically, even though the timing is bad and even though the execution is bad, it is exactly what he needed to do.
Do you think there's an argument that he should have married her to the Lannister instead?
At this stage, no, because the Lannisters right now are not as powerful as the Valyrians.
All right, so that's Viserys, right?
Yep.
Question number 2 for you.
Ooh, here we go. All right.
Otto Hightower, former Hand, father of Alicent, grandfather of Aegon. We were really tough on Otto last week. We said he's got a conflict of interest, and to put this in banking terms, he's breached his fiduciary duty, right?
Correct. 100%.
In retrospect, was Otto right? Were we too tough on Otto?
No, I think Otto overplayed his hand. I think that he wasn't wrong in the sense that he did give the king the right advice by saying the people will not accept Rhaenyra as queen. Because at that point, no one was going to accept her. She didn't want the job. She wasn't doing a good job even after she said she wanted the job. And then on top of that, like the people themselves weren't convinced, right? So at that point, he was being genuine. Where he misstepped, in my opinion, was the continual pushing of Aegon.
Was he wrong, though?
I'm not saying he was wrong or right. I think he was very ham-fisted.
I agree. So
if he had been a little bit more politically savvy...
The execution was bad. Yeah.
And which is surprising because of anyone in that circle, I would have expected him to be the most savvy about how to do it. But I think he pushed a little too hard, a little too fast. Had he stayed his hand about pushing Aegon, and then the Rhaenyra thing came up with Daemon, then he could have said, you have one way of salvaging the Targaryen name. And that's by denouncing Rhaenyra and by making Aegon the true successor.
Yeah. I felt that the conversation that he had with his daughter Alicent, it was like raining and they were standing under this little archway.
As he's leaving. Yeah.
The way that he broke it down, it really hit me. And he was right. Yes, absolutely. He didn't do it in the right way, although he didn't have the benefit of knowing all the events that were going to transpire. But he was right, which is you cannot have a queen where she has a brother. It's never going to end well. People are going to reject her, and it's going to weaken her and create a war. Or
as long as there's a viable alternative, people will not be happy.
Yes.
And so he was absolutely right, and I think you're absolutely right. It is the natural step for her to then say, well, I'm sick and tired of people comparing me to Aegon. I'm sick and tired of people talking shit about me. How do we solve this problem? The easiest way? Let's eliminate Alicent. Let's eliminate Aegon.
Just like Viserys should have done with Daemon.
Which is theoretically exactly what he should have done with Daemon.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other solutions which are Targaryen appropriate, which I think is absolutely gross, but possible. One, pledge that Rhaenyra marries Aegon.
Yeah. I mean, for Rhaenyra, is it any more gross than marrying Laenor? I mean, they're very open.
Yeah, that's right, because the mothers are different, so it's technically speaking cousins at best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, brothers, but really stepbrother, right? Because it was a different mom.
Yeah.
So, which is the equivalent of a cousin.
Yeah.
At least genealogically.
Yeah.
So, yes, absolutely. Absolutely right.
So, I mean, I guess the next part of this episode is, or the beginning of this episode, right, is we see Viserys going to high tide, which is very demeaning for a king.
100%. Yeah.
And he basically, and we see that he's in very bad health. He's coughing all over the place. Maybe that could be excused.
Seasick.
Yeah. And then you see his cousin try to shake his hand, and she basically feels kind of like an empty glove, right? Like there's no fingers in the glove.
It was a very dehumanizing
Yeah.
showcase for Viserys at that point, right? The fact that he had to go visit his sister or cousin sister and brother-in-law or cousin brother-in-law, whatever the appropriate word is for that, to pledge the queen's hand.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like, again, on paper, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's interesting, though. The great thing we have as an audience is that from the Viserys perspective, he's really stooped low to get his daughter, the regent queen, marrying the son of kind of his enemy, right? And we see this from the Valyrian perspective where they're like, man, don't let our son do this. It's going to end badly for him, right? They're like...
Yeah, not just because he's gay, but because... he will be target number one.
Yeah, they think that he's going to be a target because one, Aegon's going to come for him, and two, they think that Rhaenyra can't hold down the kingdom. She's going to get overthrown, and when she gets overthrown, her husband's going to, be taken out along with her, right?
The way that they will eliminate that problem is they're going to have a baby, and they're going to have a baby fast. And they're going to have to really hope that it's a boy, the first one.
That's where I think Game of Thrones is going to get spicy, or House of the Dragon, because I'm going to prognosticate, that means guess, that Rhaenyra,
thanks for that.
Rhaenyra did not drink the chamomile tea that was given to her, that Sir Criston Cole got her knocked up, and that she's going to have a baby, and she's going to know, and
Alicent is going to know.
And Alicent is going to know, and what's the Valyrian dude's name?
Laenor
is going to know, and secrets don't stay secrets, or as they say, secrets don't make friends, that's not actually his baby, and that's going to create even more drama in the future.
So let me pose a potential, not solution, but let me pose a potential alternative.
Yeah.
What if she does have a baby, and then in the future seasons, they set up an Aegon versus this baby battle?
I imagine that's where it's going.
Because I'm just trying to think that logistically speaking, in Game of Thrones, every season was based on a book.
Yeah.
I don't know if there are multiple books in this series. I'm not sure, or if it's just the one book, but how much can you stretch one book? If it's one book or two books or 5 books, I don't know. HBO isn't spending all this money to make one season of a show.
I would imagine
their goal will be to stretch it out as long as possible.
Yep.
So how do you set up season 2, season 3, season 4? Make it a battle between Aegon and Laenor and Rhaenyra's son.
Yeah.
Or daughter, as it may be.
So I feel like we've got, and I'll get to my third question after this. I think Aegon is going to be the good guy. I think Rhaenyra is going to be kind of the character that we want to be the good guy, but we realize she's made too many mistakes, and she'll be the incumbent. And Daemon is going to be the bad guy.
It's too early for me to guess. I would say that you're probably right in this regard. I would say you're probably right because I think what HBO has done is they very slowly but very subtly turned Rhaenyra from someone we were rooting for to someone we're not going to be rooting for by the end of the season.
Yeah.
I just get the feeling, I could be totally wrong, but right now, if you told me, do I support Rhaenyra or not? I don't really. She's not been... this is the problem I'm having with the show right now. There's no protagonist or antagonist that I want to see sitting on that throne as the rightful winner. In Game of Thrones, even before the end of the first episode, you knew, hey, no matter what, as long as a Stark comes out the winner at the end of all of the Game of Thrones, I'm happy. Because you just felt it, right? Whether it was Jon Snow, whether it was Robb, anyone. As long as it was a Stark, Sansa, anyone, that's it. In this show, I mean, we're halfway through the first season. I couldn't care less if any one of them wins.
Okay. Damon, question number 3.
Yeah.
Can anyone like Damon or find anything redeeming about him after this episode?
Only in the sense that he's a fantastic bad guy.
He's a fantastic bad guy.
Really, he has turned up Cersei levels of bad guy in this show.
I would say he is die-hard level of bad guy.
Right? He is so good, and he loves it. You
Yes.
can tell Matt Smith is having the time of his life with it. That opening scene when he's in the Vale and he takes out his wife that they haven't consummated their marriage, but he takes out his wife and he's just standing there with a hood and he's got his creepy look on his face. You're just like, oh man, this guy is going to kill someone right now. You didn't see it coming, even though his face said it all. You didn't think that he'd kill his wife.
The fact that he was going to leave her paralyzed.
Oh, brutal.
Right? And then she's like, you're not even a man enough to kill me. He picks up a rock. Yeah. And can I say, that's storytelling. You don't need to see him smash the rock. You don't need to see the blood. What is so powerful in this, I mean, I'm not the person to give advice to future directors, but this is storytelling. Picking up the rock is enough to give you the image of what's coming next. You don't need to show.
So well done.
Yeah.
So well done. And, by the way, what a masterful twist at the ending to then go to her uncle and be like, so I'm the heir of the Vale now.
Yeah.
Give me what's coming to me.
Yeah. But
I did not see that coming at all.
So, hold on. You said one thing that's really interesting, and I still think this is an issue. His wife said to him, we didn't consummate our marriage. Are you here so that we could finally consummate our marriage? I really think... But
she implies that he couldn't get it up anyway.
There is a problem with him, right? This is
is
now the third time we've seen him with an issue.
There is some kind of... They're making allusions to the fact that he's got some kind of problem in or at least some kind
emotional,
of emotional,
physically,
with women who are powerful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He couldn't do it with Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
He couldn't do it with her name in the Mysaria.
What was her name? Mysaria.
And his wife, who by the way comes off as very strong, very capable.
Yeah.
He couldn't do it with her either. So I think it's kind of like he can only get it up when he's really overpowering or dominating someone.
Yeah.
And when that person is on the same level or higher, he's got some kind of mental block.
Yeah.
And that also, by the way, very nice, subtle bit of storytelling. So I'm quite pleased.
That's the third time that HBO put in our face. So I think we can't ignore it.
Yes.
But then we get something that was so spicy and raised like so many like what ifs. So he's on the dance floor at this, I don't know, pre-wedding and giving some major flirting to Laena, right? Laena Valerian.
Yeah, which she instigates,
yes.
Which then puts her on the same level, at least on the power dynamic,
yes.
Right? It's not him dominating her. In fact, it's the other way around. She is equally dominant because she is not hiding her desires to get with him.
Let's play out this what if.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
What if those two get married?
Interesting, because now you could have a three-way race if they have a kid.
Yeah. And you pit brother against sister and uncle.
Uncle versus niece versus nephew. With Egon.
That's the Game of Thrones.
It makes things very spicy. Like, I remember saying that I don't think a three-way race was tenable. But in this case, it becomes exciting to watch. I still am not a huge fan of three-way races, but this becomes exciting to watch.
Oh, man.
And it wonderfully sets up seasons 2 onwards.
Yeah. I mean, if Viserys had a brain, and he's in really bad shape right now.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, before we get into that, what do you think? He's alive or dead right now?
I think he's alive, but I think he's very clearly going to like a not a vegetative state, but a state where he's not going to be seen in public anymore. Either he's going to be too weak, or to be honest, like you can't, if you're a king, you can't just walk around without an arm. And that's what this seems. And by the way, if I were him, I would absolutely kill his doctor. This doctor's been giving him leech, right? Dude, you've been giving me leech.
The Hippocratic Oath.
Wouldn't you say to this guy, well, hold on. You've been giving me leeches for 6 years now, right? And all I've done is
down an arm.
And I've got no fingers. I'm losing an arm, and my back looks like I'm a leper. Like, do you think that maybe we should consider a different treatment? Right? He's not going to go in public anymore.
This is just another parallel to Rings of Power, by the way, where we see another king who's in hiding.
Yeah. So I think Viserys, his time is limited. And this also creates another dynamic, which is one of these really awkward situations that, as you mentioned, we've seen on Rings of Power. When there's a king, but the king is kind of incapacitated, it also creates a lot of instability in terms of who's the boss. Should we be taking directions from the Queen Regent, or should we be going to the king? Okay, the king told us something, but he's not really all the way there, right? He's a few... What do you say? Like a few sandwiches short of a picnic or something, right? Like he's just spouting like crazy talk. Should we be listening to him or to his daughter? Or should we be listening to his wife? This is where like stuff gets like really confusing. And you don't want to...
If Otto had held his hand, he would have been much more powerful by the end of this episode. Let's put it this way. Last week's episode was a bit of a snooze fest. This week's episode,
fantastic.
By snooze fest, I mean it was very localized. There was some drama, but nothing on the scale that we see this week. And this week, the drama ratchets up. More importantly, the stakes are higher because everybody knows something about everyone else.
Yeah,
Alicent knows that Rhaenyra has slept around, and she knows that Cole did it, even though she had assumed it was going to be Daemon.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Laeron, or whatever his name is gay.
Laenor.
Confirmed by everyone. Alicent, who's kind of coming out onto her own by saying, hey, listen, this is where you get into the lore. When she shows up dressed up in green, I didn't understand the significance of that.
Yeah.
Only for me to be told later and to understand that it's because that's the color of the High Towers.
Yeah. That's their battle color.
That is not an insignificant thing to do, right?
Yeah. Especially
in this time and in this era, colors signify a lot, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, in the real world, we talk about who's the seating position, for example. That tells you everything about something. Here, it's not the seating position that matters. It's how they're dressed that tells you everything you need to know. So,
I mean, Alicent turned into a baller, right? I mean, she was like fashionably late. Everyone is there. She comes in late and she doesn't surround herself by anybody. She walks in alone. So there's no one obscuring her. Everyone sees her walking in with her battle dress on. Then she comes to the table, kisses the king. And did you hear what she said to Rhaenyra? Hi, stepsister. Or no, she said, hi, stepdaughter. Like really like putting her down in her place. Like she's never like talked to her like that again. And you're right. This is absolutely the episode with a little bit of a kick in the pants from Otto, where she's like, look, I've got to man up as a woman. I've got to man up and like take care of myself, take care of my son, because things are happening whether I want them to or not. And I'm either going to have my head cut off or I'm going to protect myself. So
so it's the battle lines are drawn, and everyone who was previously in the last 4 episodes seen as a child is no longer a child.
Yeah.
That's why, as you know, you and I both correctly predicted, next week is going to be the week I think we're going to expect a time jump.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to see adults now. We're going to see the adult version of Rhaenyra, the adult version of Alicent. So this is now kind of like, okay, battle lines are drawn in the sand.
Sad to see them go, to be honest. Sad to see them go.
Say what you will, I really liked
Millie Alcock.
I thought she was wonderful. And as much as I don't like her character, I have to admit this episode really elevated her. I really like Alicent now.
Yep.
Again, I don't have a preference as to who wins the battle between the 2 or 3 players, but I loved that she stepped up. It would have been such a weak sauce thing to see a very powerful versus a not powerful person. In this case now, she's equally domineering. She's equally assertive. I like it. It levels the playing field.
100%. Totally agree with you. Shall we turn our attention to Rings of Power?
Opening with your favorites, the Harfoots.
Oh man, that's my first comment, which is the Harfoots are back, and not just back. Now they're singing songs. Anyway, what did you think of this episode? You loved last week's episode.
Last week's episode, I was quite keen on because I thought it was kind of like, okay, we're now getting into it. We're moving.
Yeah.
This one I was a little less on.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. I think there are elements of the show that people, or at least the writers, I think wanted to say, hey, we can be like Game of Thrones too. Which is to say, let's do a little bit of political machinations behind the scenes. So we see a little bit of that in Numenor. We see a little bit of that with the elves. I didn't like it. I didn't think that the political machinations were very savvy. And I didn't think that they were anything like groundbreaking. You know, I didn't find myself being swayed by what was going on behind the scenes like I would here. Like, you know, in House of the Dragon, when Alicent steps up and she saves Criston Cole from killing himself, and you can see that she's now building her own allies, right? She's building her own team of people she can use to protect herself and maybe seize power. And in this case, the political machinations that we see on Numenor and in the Elven things, really, it was like the PG-13 version of it. Didn't do anything for me. I thought it was really weak. And when you think of Lord of the Rings, it's not really known for its political machinations. It's really a story of good versus evil.
You're right.
And so they tried to be a little bit more adult, and I don't think they pull it off. So that I didn't like so much. They finally give you a potential inkling as to who the stranger might be.
Is it Gandalf?
I don't think it is.
Oh.
I don't think it is. So, and this is, I will caveat what I'm about to say 100% is me maybe reading too much into this.
Yeah.
But you remember in this episode, there was a flashback sequence of the stranger landing into that.
Yes, in the crater
of fire. Right? In the crater. And then as they pull out, it's on fire. But then as they pull out, it's no longer on fire because it's the next day or 2 days later or whatever it is. Is it just me, or did that crater look like an eye?
It did.
Because if it looked like an eye, which it really did to me, I thought that they were teasing that it was the eye of Sauron, as in that's how we know Sauron in the Lord of the Rings movies. And so I thought, oh crap, maybe the stranger is Sauron.
Let's say that it is. What explains that he doesn't seem to know who he is or what his powers are or if he's good or bad?
Yeah, that's the thing is, so Sauron in the books and in the Silmarillion and in all of them has been like known as like a master, like almost like a spy, a master deceptor, if you will. He's really good at hiding his true intentions. And this could all be a long con.
I mean, I'll buy it, but I have to say,
I don't know. I
don't know
barely
why.
buy that myself.
Yeah.
I barely buy that myself. I'm not giving that as a plausible thing one way or another because, again, to the show's failings, they have done a very inadequate job of getting us to have any buy-in on not just the Harfoots, but also the stranger.
Yeah.
And this episode, I think they pushed that forward a little bit. You see him explore his powers a little bit. But still, as you rightfully said, who is this guy? And I'm taking a wild leap by saying it could be Sauron. And I'm doing that on the basis that one of his things kind of looks like it could have been an eye. Again, that is a massive leap. And I admit that, and I knowingly admit that, but I'm only making that because at this point, I'm just like, listen, if you're not going to tell us, and if you're not going to give us any good hints, get him off the screen.
My problem with that, I mean, apart from the Harfoots being annoying as hell, is that for the stranger, either I want him to be manipulative, and we're like, I'm not buying it. No way is he this good, innocent guy. But to have him be like this victim of amnesia, and he doesn't know what he is, where he came from, what he's doing. It's like, I mean, how can we even have an opinion when the guy himself, like, literally seems to have no idea what he is?
It would be great if we saw in his flashbacks him doing bad stuff and him remembering that, but then keeping that to himself.
Yeah.
Or good things. I don't know, but I'm just, it's so late in the game for them to still not give us any idea of who this guy is. Genuinely. I
agree.
I've lost buy-in for this.
I agree.
You know, to use our normal business speak. They've lost me on this.
And I have to say, like, even when he like slammed the earth and like killed all these like little warthogs or whatever they are, wild boars.
Wargs,
like, this is not compelling. We didn't really see him. The scene just didn't do anything for me. So trite. Yes, these dogs are going to eat the Harfoots. He comes in at the last minute and saves them. Like, it's just yawn. I'm more excited about Numenor. I have to say, I think Numenor is a worthwhile setting and scene, and I'm enjoying everything that's happening in that location. But that's kind of it. I like. So, can we talk about Numenor a little bit, and then we'll move maybe on to Elrond? I mean, I think Numenor has been front and center for the last few episodes, and we saw like a few really interesting things. Right, Marielle is committed despite her father's warning. Halbrand and Galadriel finally kind of on the same page.
Absolutely.
Isildur has redeemed himself and seems to, be on a good path, at least for the time being.
Slight redemption arc,
right?
Definitely.
So, I mean, I like everything in Numenor. And the graphics, or maybe I should say the visuals.
Stunning visuals, absolutely.
Right?
Second to none on television and rivaling most films.
Yeah.
Easily.
And not only the money, but just the way that Galadriel, like when she, at the ending scene, when she gets like kind of steps up to the deck of the ship, right? The way that they've got like kind of the sun in the background and her blonde hair is glowing, right? She just looks like an angel. It's just incredible, the visuals of this. And I have to say that is absolutely carrying, this series, but everything that's happening in Numenor, you've got my attention, Amazon. You've really got my attention in Numenor. Harfoots, yawn. I'm going to go get a glass of water. May check my email. I could even fold my laundry. I could fold my laundry when something is happening with the Harfoots. Really. But I'm really happy with Numenor. And now, Elrond.
So can I just say, I don't just like, I love the chemistry between Elrond and Durin.
I have to say, so do I. You're right.
I really
very
like
genuine,
their interactions.
Very genuine, right?
Absolutely. And you can see that Elrond, like, he pulls it off. The actor pulls it off. There's genuine conflict in his mind He's made an oath to the dwarves, and then he's finally told, we need something from the dwarves. And had he not made that oath, he could have done it. And so you can see the conflict in him. Do I save my people? Do I betray the dwarves? What do I do? And that moment where they're sitting on the standing face to face in the forest, I thought that was really well done.
Yeah.
Really well executed.
Yeah.
Gil-galad, or whatever the king's name is, I think it's Gil-galad.
Yeah.
Not super convincing. I didn't like the fact that, again, this comes down to the political machination side. I thought that was a little weak, the way he and Celebrimbor are doing it. And then you see him kind of be like a voyeur and look out over into the forest over that meeting and hear them. Didn't really sell it for me. I don't trust him at all.
So help me understand this. The king, right? Gilead, right? He understands that something is happening. It's not explained why. But
yes.
But there's like a dark force or a bad force. And the elves, if they don't do anything, are essentially going to lose their immortality, right?
Immortality, exactly.
And he's basing this on a tree that seems to be dying, correct?
My takeaway from that was like that tree represented the lifeblood or the life force of the elves.
Right. So he's saying if Elrod can get enough of this material, they can, ensconce themselves in this material?
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. I think it's for them to try to get rid of the corruption in the tree, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. I just know that they want the mithril. And what I thought was really brilliant was we get to see a little bit of how mithril came to be.
Yeah.
I'm liking this element more because this element is a little bit, in terms of story, more interesting to me and much more intriguing to me.
They're giving us
than any of the others.
They're giving us something, but they're obviously holding something back from Elrond as well, right? But at least they're giving us something, and we're starting to see where mithril is coming from, what Elrond's purpose is, and why he's like a little bit, emotionally conflicted.
I guess the third aspect or final aspect is the dark elf versus
Adar,
the holdouts.
Yeah.
The holdouts, right? Who some of them have left to pledge their allegiance and the others are going to stay behind. Yeah. They finally all see the sword that the kid found.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with that. In fact, so little did I think of that story that it's not even in my notes for this week's episodes.
So just
now thought of them.
I thought at some point, when we saw the people that kind of pledged their allegiance, someone even said, "Is that you, Sauron?" or something like that, right?
Yeah, the bad guy who was a jerk in town, who then pledges his allegiance to Sauron, and then when he learns that he's not Sauron, he's like, "I'll pledge my allegiance to you. I don't care. I just don't want to pledge it to. I don't want to die." Is basically
right. So I was kind of like, "Oh, okay, fine. We do get Sauron, but that was obviously taken away from me. We're not sure who it is. It's I guess it's Adar, right?" But we're still with Bronwyn and what's the other dude's name? Arondir, right? The elf and the human who are still with their kid who's I can't remember his name. And they've got like the little sword, and this is something's going on there. It's not clear to me. Theo, right?
Yeah. I want to see that story progress a little bit more, and with the sword, things get a little bit more interesting. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure that's Sauron's sword, but again, I could very well be wrong. I don't know. It just looks familiar to me from the movies.
But this is something really interesting, Pete. House of the Dragon is primarily focused on it's entirely in Westeros. It's in the Red Keep. Everything primarily takes place within the castle walls, right?
Yeah.
And we're primarily dealing with the Targaryen family and a few other ancillary families, right? And everything is really exciting. And there's a lot of like potential, if you're looking at this as a tree, there's a lot of different branches that the story can take.
Mm-hmm.
Rings of Power is taking place kind of in 4 different locations, right? The Harfoots, Numenor, Elrond, wherever they are.
And the Southlands.
Right, and the Southlands. We've got 4 different locations. And apart from okay, we're not really sure who the stranger is. We still don't know who Sauron is. All right, we're not sure how Elrond is going to get his hands on Mithril. Okay, the Navy is now sending 3 ships from Numenor. There's not like a lot of intrigue. It almost seems like for Rings of Power, I'm just along for the ride. Wherever the story takes me, I'll watch it, and I'll like it or don't like it. Whereas House of the Dragon, I'm actively like, but I think they should do this, or I'm guessing they're going to do that, or I'm projecting they're going to do this, or they should have done this instead. It's so strange how these 2 epics, both based on books, have taken like completely different paths to production and to trying to like captivate an audience, right? Like you and I should be equally excited about Rings of Power and House of the Dragon.
Yeah. On paper, 100%. Yes.
Objectively, there's no reason. We've got the same taste, the same interests, the same everything. The Rings of Power story is not dramatically different than House of the Dragon. They're both kind of fantasy, happened a long time ago in a different place, right? And yet I feel like I'm way less invested in Rings of Power. It's not grabbing me, even though I say I kind of like the characters. I'm getting to know them a little bit. I have to say I love the visuals. Why is it not captivating me?
I think it comes down to the fact that there's no urgency in Rings of Power at the moment.
Yeah.
The scale of time in House of the Dragon is, at least now, we're not saying in the years in the decades or centuries. We're talking years, months, weeks, days, even minutes, right? And I think the scale of time in Lord of the Rings and Rings of Power, we're talking about decades and centuries.
Yeah.
Everything is a very slow paced. And because there's no urgency, there's no excitement. And if there's no excitement, like, I'll give you the simplest of examples, okay? You have the Harfoots, who have clearly been left behind from the other Harfoots, right?
Yeah.
Because they were last in the pack. The father broke his ankle. So they're clearly well in the back. You could have added the slightest bit of urgency by them being constantly chased by wargs.
Yep.
Right? So then there's tension that they have to catch up because the wargs wouldn't dare attack when there's 100 other Harfoot families, but because there's just the one, they're being attacked. And then, that's one simple way of creating that. Or, we see that 1 or 2 of the ships get destroyed in Numenor as they're leaving. You create a little bit more tension and a little bit more urgency where, what if those ships were destroyed not as the ships were still in dock, but as they're sailing out, all of a sudden one of the ships explodes. And and that's how the episode ends. You're just like, holy shit, what just happened? There's a little bit more of a semi cliffhanger moment where you're just like, oh my God, what just happened? Something simple to just be like, I want to know how this resolves itself on the next episode. We're not getting any of that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Rings of Power, the overarching theme is, it's kind of like Game of Thrones. Sauron is coming. When? We don't know when.
Where?
Exactly. We don't know where.
Is coming.
Who is he? Yeah. Not sure who he is. But you should be emotionally invested in this because eventually, even though we've been waiting like 1,000 years, He's coming. He's coming
that's
soon.
Brilliant, what you've said.
And he's going to be. Brilliant. And he's going to be bad. Whereas House of the Dragon, every day the throne could change, right? Viserys is in bad shape. When he goes down, who's taking over? Doesn't matter who takes over. We know it's going to be battle royale, and everyone's positioning themselves. So you're right. The urgency of House of Dragon is immense. Whereas if I'm living in Westeros and I'm just selling bread on the corner, I don't feel any urgency because I don't see what's happening within the palace. Whereas Rings of Power, we see it. We don't feel anything. For me, it's like, yeah, Sauron's been sleeping for 1,000 years. Galadriel's been chasing him for 400 years. Like, ho-hum, yawn. I can miss an episode.
And that's, I think, the right point, is that if you missed an episode, you're pretty certain that you won't have missed anything of substance in this episode.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that that's how we should watch this show, but had we missed this episode, this one episode right now that we watched, would we really have lost much? Nothing on the Harfoots, practically next to nothing, if at all nothing, on Adar and Arondir storyline. We would have missed a little bit of political machinations where we learned the king's hand or the queen's hand is maybe on the bad side in Numenor.
Yeah.
And we would have missed a little bit about why the elves want Mithril.
Yeah.
And that they want Mithril.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm sorry, but those two small plot points, and they really are small plot points at this point, not, let's say, worth the entire episode.
I think that's kind of in a nutshell why House of the Dragon is kind of must watch each week. And for me,
it is appointment television.
Yeah,
100%.
That's the right way to say it. It's appointment television. Whereas Rings of Power.
If you and I had missed this week's episode or last week's episode of House of the Dragons, and we jumped to next week, we would have missed everything. We would have missed so much, and everything would have been important. We wouldn't have learned that Alicent finally is getting in on the game. We wouldn't have learned that Rhaenyra is married. We wouldn't have learned so many things. So many things that we would have just been like, huh? Why is Daemon all of a sudden interested in the Veil? None of that kind of stuff would have made sense.
Pete, I'm doubling down on your point, which is not just that, but just think back to like my first 3 questions at the beginning of this episode. Those questions have nothing to do with events. They're more like about the entire, the entire,
almost like the philosophical
yes,
questions of the series.
You're right. So if you would have missed last week's episode, and I'd say, hey, was Otto right? You'd be like, yeah, I don't really know.
About what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is exactly. Viserys making mistakes? You'd be like, well, I'm not sure. What happened this episode, right?
Yeah.
Can anyone like Daemon? You're like, well, what happened? You know, like those things are philosophical questions. You're right. Those go to the core of the show based on very, very subtle events. Whereas Rings of Power is bigger events, but they're not giving me like those same philosophical questions in terms of, is Galadriel right or wrong? There's no answer to that question. We know both. She's absolutely right that winter is coming. She's absolutely wrong that she doesn't have to be a bitch about it to everybody because she'd get more people with honey than with vinegar, right?
And I think it also comes down to the fact that we explicitly know how the Rings of Power will end because we've seen the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah.
Explicitly.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon, we generically understand that the Targaryens are destroyed.
Yep.
We generically understand that the Valyrians are gone, but we have no idea what exactly happened. In fact, their own descendants don't exactly know what happened in the Game of Thrones series, which is interesting, right? We thought, at least I thought at the beginning, with having not watched either of them, I thought that would make things easier for Lord of the Rings, for Rings of Power than it would have for House of the Dragon. But in fact, it's the other way around. I think there's more creative liberty for House of the Dragon. And I think there's more, there's more of a sense of, hey, we know where they're going to get to, but not exactly. So we can kind of make the urgency where we want it to be.
Does that make Rings of Power still a must subscribe for you?
I think right now, Rings of Power for me is a mooch in the sense that it's still a very, very good, high budget TV show.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, in your parlance, it wouldn't be difficult for you to keep it on in the background and you wouldn't really miss much if you were doing something else. Right. And so for me, that is why Rings of Power is still a mooch and not a must subscribe. I think it comes down to scale. I think the scale is too big. What they're doing is too big.
I mean, I think that's exactly right. I mean, if we're talking about the definition of a must subscribe is that you have to pay for this. You want to see it immediately every week when it comes out. It's appointment television, as you say. House of the Dragon fits that definition for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rings of Power as a television series does not. I think it's only by virtue of the fact that ROP is very popular and that you may want to discuss it with other people and you may not want spoilers, that it would be a subscribe in a pop culture or a socialized sense only, but just in terms of not the quality, because the quality is exceptional, but in terms of the interest of the story, it is a mooch by that definition.
Yeah, on
For
paper,
me, it's a mooch.
No, I'm with you because on paper, you're exactly right. Rings of Power should be blowing House of the Dragon apart. It is the PG version of more or less the same, not the same story, but the same setting. It's a PG version, and it's got much broader appeal. And it has an established fan base that is much longer standing than the Rings of Power fan base. Oh, sorry, the House of Dragons fan base. House of Dragon fan base really had only the Game of Thrones fan base. Don't get me wrong, George R.R. Martin has a lot of reader fans, but nowhere near as much as J.R.R. Tolkien, right? Tolkien will take him to school any day of the week. And then on top of that, the ending of Game of Thrones was so widely reviled that they had so much baggage to get over.
Yes.
And this show has done that in spades.
Pete, let me put you in a crazy scenario, okay?
All right.
You're on an airplane. The pilot announces you've got 1 hour until you land. After you land, you're going to be somewhere with no television for the next 2 weeks. You look on your monitor. You've got the first episode of season 2 of The Bear, or you've got the next episode of Rings of Power.
I'm watching The Bear.
That is a crazy... I totally agree with you.
I can't believe it.
That statement should drop the share price of Amazon. That's a crazy statement. Do you agree?
I can't believe it, but you have nailed it with that question. The fact that I would rather watch the first episode of season 2's The Bear, probably a show that cost not even a tenth. I mean, I'm being generous when I say a tenth. And probably not even a fifth of what one season of of Rings of Power cost. I would rather watch that show. Oh, that's brutal.
Right now, Hulu has just thrown a crazy party, and Amazon share price should have gone down by that statement.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
Oof, you've put that actually is the context is excellent. What you've just done is the context is excellent.
Bravo to the bear. Bravo to the bear.
Yeah, it's unbelievable that we would say that and believe that.
Yeah. If it was the next episode of House of the Dragon or episode 1 of season 2 of The Bear, that's a tough call.
That's a tough
call.
Then
I'd probably say I'll see House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
I'll wait for The Bear to come out, all the episodes. I'm not just going to watch the first one. It's going to drive me nuts.
Yeah, I'll binge it later. That's fine. It's not.
Yes.
For me, I mean, they're both must subscribes, but if I have to choose one over the other, I would probably give it to House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
And a lot of that also comes from the fact that I know that House of the Dragon is going to be a part of the cultural discussion. Yeah. I know that if I don't watch it, there's a good chance that if I walk into a conversation with a group of people, there's a good chance I'll get something spoiled.
Context matters. You're right. That's absolutely correct. Rings of Power, there is no spoiler. There is, but it's not as dramatic as
nowhere near as dramatic. I mean, good God, right?
Yeah.
So... I'm sorry, Jeff Bezos, but, fingers crossed you pick it up in the next 3 or 4 episodes, but I don't see it happening.
Let's look at the subscriber, or not the subscriber, the viewership numbers. To be honest, I have no idea what they are right now. Pete, I thought this was really one of my most enjoyable episodes, and since we record on Saturday, that means... in about 24 hours, the next House of the Dragon is coming out.
Yeah, that's right. So we'll get that, which means that probably in the next 36 hours is when I'll watch it because it'll be late UK time.
Yeah,
so.
Same. I watch NFL football, and then that's kind of my Monday morning vice.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, my friend, everyone, thank you so much for listening. Please drop us a comment on YouTube.
And if
Email
you've got
me.
your thoughts
Yep.
on Rings of Power and or House of the Dragon, drop us a line, aloha@filmsandstuffpodcast.com, or tweet at us at FNS Podcast. Drop us a line on YouTube, subscribe, like this video. We want to engage with you. I think these two shows are going to cause some level of consternation for viewers, both fans and not fans alike. So, we want to be a part of that conversation. Drop us a line. Let us know what you think.
We'll be here. Pete, thank you. Listeners, thank you. Everyone, have a great week ahead.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye now.
Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.